like a little draft beer.
We're good.
Do you have it?
Start up.
You want me to just send it to
Well,
you?
because he's a startup, wants to look at it. Got it.
Very clever.
How's your I know. Not as bad as
I need.
I didn't sign off on the, I forgot to bring the big one.
Yes.
They're opening warrants. For the second of reading.
Yeah, that's perfect all the time.
I know, I try, but you know, I didn't even think about that. Are we unmuted?
So.
Yeah. We are unmuted if you're ready.
Okay,
Are you
all right,
here?
yep. I'd like to call the Ways and Means meeting to order. Riley's talking.
Order in the court?
Order in the court. I'd like to call the Ways and Means meeting tonight to order. As you know, we had a little bit of a quorum issue this month, so the Judicial and Public Safety, Planning and Public Works will be the first resolution time that the committee has gone over these resolutions. We did have a quorum for Government Ops and Health and Human Services. So we're going to try to get through those resolutions for the first time at this committee. I'd like to get a motion to accept the December 10th minutes if I could.
I'll move it.
Cayuga, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. There aren't any appointments on the agenda tonight. We do have, I think, now we have 8 resolutions. Yes, 8 resolutions. There's one that got added in terms of correction of tax errors in Venice, but we can go through those. If we'd like to start with the treasurer at this point. You have anything you wanted to update us on?
No, I don't, not unless anyone has any questions.
I did see in your report that you mentioned the final payments to tourism office will be made and sent this month. And that you anticipate additional revenue coming into the treasurer's office because of the room tax. So I can assume there'll be more money coming in.
A little bit more money, about 7%.
Okay,
Keep in mind, we only get 5% of those monies.
yep.
So it's not a lot of money, but it is up 7%.
And I did ask Lynn, because I was confused as to when we get to Ways and Means 1, why there was an actual dollar amount in the money we're sending over to tourism. I think it was 1.2 million. And she said because I was wondering if we hadn't reconciled all this. We don't know for sure yet, but she said that reflects the money that was put into the 2025 budget, maybe not the actual. Would you be able to tell us at some point the actual?
Yes, I'll work with Grace on that and find out and get back to you on it if I can.
Okay, I mean, because when we went through this last year, I think we were all surprised that tourism office got $1.3 million sent their way. So,
Because, most of all the short-term rental money goes to the tourism office to fund the tourism office.
yep,
So yes, they get more than you may think.
yes. Grace?
I believe it's my understanding, we can only at this point keep by the 5% due to local law, if I'm correct. So at this point, anything above that has to go to them unless something gets changed.
But I thought when Dave said that the administrative fee that the treasurer's office seems to be higher than that.
It's still the 5%.
No, still the 5%, but
It's 5%, but we're up a little bit
Right.
from normal.
yes, that,
It's a lot of money.
right. No. That's what I was,
Yes.
I was trying to make the connection. Perhaps they're up too.
Right. Right. And in regards to that, the short-term rentals and stuff, there's some significant legislation that's being talked about right now that Fred and myself and Jenny and Melinda and I are all looking at the potential for what that's going to mean to us here in the future.
Is that the registry, an actual registry of
Yeah.
properties, our vacation rentals by owner or any of that?
And there's a lot in the weeds here to come into. I'll do that in detail later on. We're planning a meeting with the people I just mentioned, Fred and Jenny, to talk about the ramifications of it. Because there's an opting out provision if we want to do that, where there's a potential that we could make some more money, but will require a lot more work. But we have to, work through the weeds on that to see what's gonna be in the best interest before I come back here.
And if that resulted in additional money, could we keep that towards economic development or do whatever we want with it if we do a local law?
That's a question I'm looking at, back of Fred's head here.
Uh-huh.
I think if we are to get some, I believe you can put it in the general fund, but I think there's a lot to do before we get there.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Fred.
So at this point, under the chapter amendment, the county can charge administrative fees in addition
For
to
keeping the registry?
for keeping the registry, but it's not going to be a lot of money. And most of it still will go to the tourism office.
Unless we change?
You can't because that would require a change in New York state law.
Oh, okay. So the New York state law says you can't direct it towards economic development. It
That's
has to be towards tourism.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Grace?
I do believe, if I'm correct, though, that will also result in an increase in sales tax revenue as well.
Yes, it will.
Oh, so okay, we would get more sales tax.
Potentially, we can
Yes.
get more sales tax, but there's a lot of hoops I think that we have to jump through to get there.
Okay.
So that's what, we'll go through all that in the coming weeks and let you know about that.
To be continued then,
Yeah.
right? Okay, great. Thank you. Grace, do you have, you gave us some great news about January. Thank you.
Thanks.
No, I really don't have anything to add unless anybody has any questions. As you can see, feels like we just ended our year end and we're starting our new year end, but, this is just an extremely busy time for everybody, but.
And I had mentioned that basically you had told me, because I had asked offline and I ask every time, when will you know how we did in 24 in terms of our budget and our sales tax?
Yeah, there'll be a last reporting from the state. I believe it's sometime in February, which will be updated. So all the payments through December, and then we'll be able to figure out what our year end accrual is, because there's still an accrual that has to go into the 24 numbers. We reversed last year's accrual and we approve this year's. So it could be a wash, could be better, worse. I mean, we don't know until we see those numbers, but until we get that state report, we can't really do that final accrual.
The last projection, you had like us down 500,000 from budget, but who knows how that will end up.
Right.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jenny? Anything you want to add to the report?
I don't think that is, well, there's the one resolution.
Okay, why don't you, if you want to, it's WM8?
Mhm.
Okay,
Or it'll be.
it will be WM8, but we're blaming Fred for this.
Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
I was gonna say, I did submit it to resolutions, it just didn't make it on the agenda, and I didn't notice until right before the meeting that it wasn't on there. But this is for a correction of error for the town of Venice. It's for an agricultural exemption that had been applied for on time. Everything was submitted. The assessor just missed putting it on the roll. So this is to apply that exemption.
Can I get a motion for
I'll move
WM8?
it. Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you, Jenny. Diane? Hi.
I don't have anything to add to my report about this, actually, if anyone has any questions.
The only thing, and we'll do it quickly, the only thing I spoke with you about is I'm not sure everyone is familiar, looking at Tom, about the resolutions process, and that there is a resolutions group that reviews every resolution that comes forward prior to it making its way on the agenda.
That's correct, yes. So we have several people on that group. It consists of both Sheila and Amanda.
Yep.
Amanda Brady too, Lynn, Tom, Lynn, Shereen, Will, Fred, and Rich. Grace is on it and myself. So we all review it depending on what type of resolution it is. I'll focus more on resolutions that deal with personnel. Lynn and Grace are looking at resolutions that deal with budget, for example. Tom has to do with contracts, IT purchases in that respects. Amanda's making sure everything's in line with the purchasing. And then the final review goes to Fred and Rich. and they review them before they go to the committees.
For kind of legal matters, is that, and you and Rich have to sign off, last sign off, and then they go on?
Well, we just say we approve it,
Okay.
usually move it into the right folder and then we're done.
Okay. Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let's see. Amanda?
The only thing I was gonna add, or at least emphasize on my report, is that we did get bids in for the natural gas and electric. And even though it'd been 2 years since we submitted a bid, by working with power management, our rates have decreased. And if we can't guarantee the usage stays the same based on obviously the weather, but if the usage stays roughly the same, we're looking at $32,000 savings over the course of 12 months
Great,
with the new rates. So,
that's
and
great.
I'll be submitting a resolution to allow us to go back out to bid as we see trends of going down to save additional money. So that will probably be in the next month or two. So, and then if there's any other questions.
Any questions for Amanda? All right, thank you. Okay, maybe we could get through the Ways and Means resolutions. You can go through them and then we can single some out for any questions. The first is authorizing WM1, the signing of various legislative contracts. Tourism is there, 1.2825. Soil and water, the 730,000 that we budgeted for. Central New York Regional Broadband, or Central New York Planning and Development, 45,860. Cornell Cooperative Extension, 340,000. And these are the various legislative contracts that the legislature has with these organizations. WM2 is authorized the county. Now, Fred and I talked about this, authorize the county attorney to hire or I think the resolution says contract for legal services. I guess, Fred, I assumed you were looking for permission to do both
I'd be happy to have permission for both.
because you have money in your point one to hire another attorney.
Correct.
And you also had money in your point four to
Yeah.
cover up to 200,000 to cover legal contracts.
If it says and, it'll allow us to catch up. and
Okay,
Stay ahead.
okay. Since it's in the budget that way, I would,
We put it on the floor, move it for
yep.
a friendly amendment to add the word in.
Is that friendly enough? Or do I have to-
Friendly enough for me, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Yeah. Do you want to get a second on her?
yeah,
Motion.
I'll second
Yeah.
that. Anyone with any concerns? Okay, do you have to vote on it now, or can I just?
Also, yes.
All right, if we could, did we vote on one?
One, no.
All right, let's do 1 and 2.
So you need to amend the motion to, now I'm getting
Oh,
complicated.
I
We
thought
can
it was
let's
a
just-
friendly
we can just do
amendment.
two.
Just move. to-
All right, let's move 2. All right,
Thank you.
I motion to amend and
And move.
in support of the amendment as discussed. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. All right, let me go through the rest then. WM3 requesting state home rule legislation to extend our ability to have the additional 1% sales tax to continue through November 30th of 2026. This is kind of early to do this, right?
No, it's right on time. It expires in November of this year.
Okay,
This legislation authorizes, for instance, the chair to start reaching out to the state and local representatives to make sure that it gets put into the governor's budget. And we want to make sure it gets approved well before November so that we can continue to collect our sales tax.
all right. WM4 authorizing the cancellation of penalty and interest in the amount of $76.21 for a parcel in the town of Victory. I believe that was brought forward by Jonathan. One of his constituents reached out. It ended up obviously being the principal of the matter. That's why they felt it was warranted. It has been done before by other legislators have sponsored similar. I'm sure it's not very popular to have done. But if we could get, that would be WM4. Ways and Means 5, seeker review for granting an easement to the town of Sterling for county-owned property. They need to serve the town residents with clean drinking water. That is Water District Number 2. The county-owned real property committee has reviewed the request and has recommended its approval. By this resolution, the county also declares to be the lead for the seeker process. So WM5 is an easement granting, and WM6 is a seeker review and easement and another in the town of Sterling, part of the Water District 2. There's a need to install a backflow prevention system, a master meter on Irwin Road. And this also declares the county as the lead for the seeker. This resolution will authorize the temporary and permanent easement in the town of Sterling that passes. Next is, let's get them, if I could get, we could move all of those, get a first and a second, or any questions? So it would be 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any questions on those? Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, last but not least, Diane brought it to the meeting tonight, is the Ways and Means number 7, and I'll pass it out. Okay. And I have extras here for any of the legislators. This is authorizing salary adjustments for Part 2 and Part 4 of the Cayuga County Compensation Plan for non-bargaining employees for the year 2025. We had not taken any action before the end of the year, so this will be the action what we're going to take for 2025. If this resolution passes, it would be a effective January 1st, there will be a $2,300 added to each full-time employee. It would be the flat amount to their base wages, and then a 2% increase to all Part 4 part-time. This also would authorize movement of the various grades that are in place by 2% as well. So this is a $2,300 flat for the full-time and a 2% increase for the non-bargaining part-time employees. This is similar to the other resolutions where there are some exemptions that apply. And is there anything you want else to say about this resolution, Diane, that you prepared at our request?
Did review it with Lynn and with Fred and Jonathan and yourself, so it is a standard resolution with the language. The only thing that varies this year is rather than a percentage amount for everyone, we are doing the flat rate, so we're in place.
Okay. Can I get a motion for this?
Nightingale, move it.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All 4 of us. Thank you. Okay. That basically is the ways, and not like last month, I won't adjourn. Now we'll go into, that was last month, Health and Human Services. Heidi?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Health and Human Services had 20 resolutions, all of which passed committee unanimously. Many of these are annual contracts that are renewed. So I'd like to go through and bundle the contracts resolutions. These resolutions were discussed in detail by Department Head Christine Bianco at the HHS committee. So if anybody has questions, we can refer back to her comments. So these contracts would be HH1, HH5, HH6, HH7, HH8, HH9, HH10, HH11, HH12, HH16, HH17, and HH20. So all of these are contracts that fall within health department, the the Social Services Department, the Youth Bureau, the Mental Health Department, their annual contract renewals. One of the things that Christine Bianco talked about at the meeting is that for 2026 budgeting, she's already kind of in the process of thinking about looking at contracts along with Amanda to see,
Okay.
what we can do in future as
To get
many of
different
these are just
prices.
kind
Yeah.
of non-negotiated renewals.
Okay.
So I'm looking for a motion
I'll make one for
on that
HH
bundle.
1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, and 20.
Any
I'll move it.
questions for discussion?
You want to second it?
Second.
Yep.
Any questions on those that I can answer?
Thank you. All in favor? Oh, I've got to say it. All in favor?
Aye. I'd also then like to bundle HH2, HH3, and HH4. These are all bills within the Health Department. Again, reviewed thoroughly by Department Head Kathleen Cuddy and unanimously accepted and approved by the Health Department. There is a proposal to fill 2 part-time lactation peer counselors. This is a 100% funded program. Authorization to fill the Director of Health Education and Public Information in the Health Department, and an authorization to fill a 100% funded public health educator or a senior public health educator. The word "or" is there based on applications that come through. It gives Kathleen Cuddy and the department the flexibility around qualifications.
Can I get a
So
motion?
that's a bundle for 3 and 4.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yep, you want a question?
No. Again, a bundle for HH 13 and 14. These are fills. One within the Social Service Department to fill 3 full-time caseworker positions in the mandated child welfare units. And also to fill a full-time paralegal.
Can I get a motion for 13 and 14?
So move.
Second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
And then there are 3 others that I'd like to bundle that require accepting funds, and in a couple of cases, also contracting after accepting those funds. HH 15, HH 18, and HH 19. HH 15 allows us to accept safe harbor funds from New York State and contract with Booker T. Washington Community Center for the provision of those safe harbor services. HH 18 allows us to accept funds to compensate qualifying members of the mental health department to assist in the payment of student loans. They have to meet some requirements. They have to stay within the department and within their positions to receive $10,000 over 3 payments over 3 years. Again, that's not money that the county is paying. That's money that we can accept from the state. And finally, for the mental health center to accept funds from the Recubs grant, this is the money that we've talked about quite a bit that is that has been involved in helping with the DBT training program of staff. This is specifically from Moravia School District. After committee, this particular HH 19 was amended on the recommendation of Attorney Westfall that the language include the specific timelines and monies of the Recubs grant, which was not in the resolution when passed at committee.
Okay. Can I get a motion for those resolutions?
I'll move it.
Second,
Second,
any questions?
yes.
Okay,
Should we separate 19 out due to the fact that it was?
Amended after committee. I'm thinking we
yeah,
should.
okay. We'll do the two of them. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and 19, you had to change the date, Heidi? or
Right,
the-
so with 19, what happened was, in the very last resolve, dates were specifically placed in to the resolution, dates of, the funding time, for beginning and end, along with, I think it's just dates, not amount.
It was, yesterday,
Just the
started in
dates.
November of 24,
Yeah.
just to make sure it's
Okay.
perfect.
Yep. Okay. I'll move HH 19. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay. Government operations, I guess I'll do that. Had two resolutions, both were related to the Board of Elections, authorizing the chair and the commissioners of the County Board of Elections to sign Phoenix Graphic Inc. contract. I think that is a renewal. And authorizing the chairman, GO2 is authorizing the chairman and the commissioners of the County Board of Elections to extend a contract, to extend their contract with Pitney Bowes for the provision of mail management and processing hardware and software.
Move the bundle.
Okay, second,
Nightingale, second.
any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, you're on.
Madam Chair, Planning and Public Works has 12 resolutions. Go through them one by one. Participation by the department heads. Authorizing PPW 1 is authorizing Building and Grounds Department to hire a mobile work crew supervisor to fill an upcoming vacancy. Tony, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. So how's everybody doing? So as you know, Ed Everhart retired and I backfilled his position in-house with the mobile work crew supervisor. So I'm asking to backfill that position with this resolution.
Okay, can we get a motion for PW 1?
Nightingale, move it.
Second,
Second.
and any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, PPW 2, authorizing the chair of Cayuga County Legislature to sign a 3-year renewal agreement. Professional services to provide environmental health and safety compliance support. And Tony, is this yours as well?
Yes, my office. So this is basically if we're going to have a project or do any work and we want to test for PCBs, asbestos, anything like that. This is a contract that will allow me to go out and quickly be able to get this vendor in to do the testing and give us the results of what we're looking at and dealing with so we can do it safely.
Is there a cost to this, Tony?
So it's basically by job or square footage type thing. So there's not really a dollar amount that goes with this.
Oh, yeah.
I think we spend less than $7,000 a year is what Amanda and I kind of.
Yeah, it's not, it's more smaller projects. It's not like county office building or anything like that.
I mean, there's no
It's-
reference to the cost of.
Yeah, it's basically by the job. So if Tony wants to tear down a wall and put up a partial wall, they have to make sure there's no asbestos in the wall.
Or
So
lead
it's a
paint or
small.
anything like that.
Exactly. So it's small testing for small projects and we've never spent more than, we've definitely never spent more than $10,000 annually with them.
Okay, and this is the group you're doing a 3-year renewal with.
Yes, and he did get quotes from several vendors.
Great, okay. Motion, we had a motion for this yet? No?
Make it.
Second?
Second.
All right, any other questions for Tony? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Tony.
Yep.
Also PPW 3, authorizing the highway superintendent to fill motor equipment operator medium position 2480 in the county highway department. And PPW 4, we'll probably bundle, fill motor equipment operator medium position 8,000 in the county highway department. And PPW 5, authorizing the highway superintendent to fill motor equipment operator medium position 8047 in the county highway department.
So Can we get a motion and a second for 3, 4, and 5?
I'll move it.
No second.
And Brian, I asked him at the other meeting, 2 of these positions that are vacant now are based on terminations.
Yes.
In terms of the employee didn't make it through the probationary period. And the other is the MEO that's new to your budget based on some adjustments you made last year.
Yes.
And they're all used for snow plowing and whatever
Yes.
else? Okay, do you have other vacancies?
I have the mechanics vacant still.
But these would be if these get filled, you'll be up to full
Yes.
staff?
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Paving list, right?
Yes. PPW 6, authorizing the approved 2025 paving list.
Can I get a motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
I'm not sure how we'd question all this, but it looks good to me.
It's beautiful.
It's the standard
Pave it.
resolution year. And if there's any changes in the state budget, we'll adjust that accordingly.
But you identify the roads here.
There's a list of roads.
Right.
Yeah.
And they can change depending on what the needs are come spring as well.
Oh, okay, so this is your estimated list?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do we get a motion second? All in favor? Aye. Okay.
EPW 7, authorization to chairperson of the legislature and the highway superintendent to sign an agreement for consulting services on the Phillips Road Bridge for replacement. Would you speak to that?
Phillips Road Bridge is the bridge that we're gonna replace in-house, and we need some engineering services to get the exact number on the bridge cost to set up the capital H for the ARPA money that was put in the budget.
Okay. I'll move that.
I'll second. And the 86 for that design is included in your budget or?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right, any other questions about this resolution? Not all in favor?
Aye.
EPW 8, authorizing to purchase equipment in the highway department. I'm assuming you have a list of
Yes.
replacement and,
Yes, it's this resolution is for the 2 10-wheelers and, no, the equipment one is for the mower, roadside mowing tractor and the arm mowing tractor that was in the budget. And these are all reimbursed through the CHIPS program. Yeah.
I'll second. PW8. Any other questions for? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
W9, authorization to purchase trucks in the highway department.
This resolution is for our 10-wheelers that we order every year. Just so you know, those are, if we order them today, they're still that far behind. We're still waiting on trucks from 22 and 23 and 24.
And what do you have to encumber money into the next year's
Yes.
budget to actually, if you don't pay them? Wow, so.
And these also are reimbursed through the CHIPS program.
Mhm.
I'm moving PW9.
Second,
Yeah, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
PPW 10, approved 2025 surface treatment list.
Same list as our paving list, just different process.
Yep.
Comes out of a different account line.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Yep, thanks. And this is all estimates too?
Yes,
Okay. Why do you estimate it? I mean,
because
you have a plan, but it could vary.
it could vary, and if I waited to wait until the month of when I know for sure what roads we're gonna do, then I gotta wait 30 days to get the contractors in.
Okay, all right, so this,
In order for me to spend any funds, I have to have these resolutions in place.
okay, all right, thanks.
All right, thank you, Brian. PPW 11, authorization to fill a planner position due to resignation of the incumbent planner on or after April 1st, 2025. I'll make a motion.
Move it.
I'll second for discussion. This is the adjustments we made in the budget where we allowed the fill of this or budgeted for it after April 1st. So this would be getting ready to do that.
Yeah, so I'm bringing it now so that I can start advertising, and get through the civil service and HR process. So hopefully we have a candidate ready to hire.
Okay. Do we move that? Would you?
Yes.
Second?
We did, yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
PPW 12, authorization to create and fill a principal environmental planner position and to abolish an associate planner position in the Department of Planning and Economic Development.
I'll move it for discussion.
And I'll second it for discussion.
Carrie is doing exactly what I think she was told to do. If this makes its way through the budget, then bring it forward. I do have some questions. The initial personnel meeting I was involved with, we started down the road of out of title work, and then that seemed not to be the case. When I read the authorization to fill, it looks like it's to assume supervisory duties. But I did ask for a copy of the associate planner job spec from Diane, and that certainly does have supervisory ability within it. So I'm not quite sure. So I'd like to table this and have it go back to the personnel committee to meet and have a further discussion before I would support this. I'd need a second for the table.
I'll second the table.
Any questions about it? I think it would just be another closer look at the reason why we would make the upgrade.
Right.
All in favor of the table?
Aye.
Thank you. I think we are meeting, the Personnel Committee, Diane, is meeting twice a month.
Twice a month, the first and third Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m.
Okay.
Right, Tuesday, 3.
Okay, judicial, Mr. Winslow?
All right, judicial and public safety, thank you. We have a total of 8 resolutions. We'll address these pretty much one at a time here due to the fact that we did not meet. First one, JP 1, authorizing the chairperson of the legislature to sign an agreement with American Tower Corporation, allowing Cayuga County to co-locate on their tower site in the town of Spafford. I'm going to ask Denise if you want to speak to this one, your resolution.
So this is just a standard cleanup. We've been using this site since 2011. And we just need to renew the contract.
Any
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye. JP 2, appointing administrator, indigent defendants, and setting the role of compensations. This is Mr. Hoskins' position. And Lloyd, I'll ask you to speak to your resolution.
You can tell us what a fine job you're doing at it.
My contract expires next week. So I'm seeking another 1-year appointment. These are 1-year appointments.
Right.
I don't know why they were set up as 1 year, but it is what it is. So I'd ask for a year.
I'll move that.
I'll move it.
I'll second. No change in your hourly rate, I noticed.
Correct.
Yep. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
JP 3, authorizing recognition of the Cayuga County Search and Rescue Team, formerly the Cayuga County Highland Search and Rescue. This would bring them under the county's umbrella. Riley, I'll let you speak to that.
Good evening, everyone. I had the chance to push out some additional information to all the legislators last week after some follow-up conversation, and also a chance to further visit the current team coordinator for Highland Search and Rescue. To put it bluntly, this is not a very attractive resolution. It's amending an administrative process going back to almost 1997. But is there any questions regarding what we're trying to do here from the body?
Well, no, apparently you're bringing this team in under your supervision.
re-recognizing them. We've
Yes,
always
right.
had a team underneath our supervision. In 1997, they were originally recognized as the Wildland Search and Rescue Team. Due to changes and transitions in management at the team level, as well as through my office over the years and over there, they were re-recognized as a separate 501c covering the team for search and rescue purposes under the moniker of Highland Search and Rescue. With this, we're now looking to bring them back under the umbrella, abolish the name of Wildland, and go forward with just Cayuga County Search and Rescue. And at the same time, the assets of the team, which don't total any more than $2,000 total for some handheld GPS units and a largely outdated laptop, would be absorbing those assets and then moving forward with paying for the liability insurance coverage for the existing volunteers underneath this office, similar to our other special operations divisions, and some additional safety equipment to bring them up to speed in the modern era for their purpose.
And Riley, what's the account that this is paid under? That this is all new to me, but.
Special operations is a
Yep.
line item currently underneath our budget. We have 5 other operating special operations teams underneath the office: rope rescue, rehab, water rescue, and agglomerated technical rescue team among them. That special operations line varies from years based on what the needs of the office. Some years that can go towards replacement of life safety rope for the rope rescue team. Last year for water rescue, we ended up spending almost the entire line item on a replacement inflatable boat. Originally, we had 4 purchased off of a grant in 2016. One of them failed after a number of years, and that was almost 70% of what that line item was. So the special operations line supports all of these individual teams that have been recognized in the past, and that's what we plan to utilize a portion of funding for this year, is for search and rescue underneath our.
And you had said to me that it doesn't have a ton of money in it, but you feel that you would be able to assume this and stay within that line item.
Currently our line item for the special operations team is parallel to what it was in 2022. We spiked to about $7,500. We're back to about $5,000 in consideration of countywide budget cuts. We'll be comfortable. We're going to continue to do it. We might have some items that get backlogged for future years replacements, but at the moment, to take this on for the value that this team provides in the hour of need, I think that this is a comfortable decision to make as far as this year's line item budget goes with using that special operations fund.
Good. Any other questions for Riley? And you already covered the liability issues, and you told us that there's only 5 people that would be new to the insurance because the other people are already EMTs or,
by
right.
either home, fire department, or ambulance agencies, which see coverage through the county's policy already. We have approximately 5 members who are not affiliated with a fire or EMS agency. One of them being the team coordinator, so she will just have to follow similar processes to other county volunteers and in order to assume that coverage.
Okay. All right. What was it? JP what?
3.
You'll need a motion.
Get a motion for JP 3.
I'll make the motion.
I guess second.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
JP4 and JP5, under probation department. Actually, I think I'm going to bundle these two. Authorization to fill probation officer 1 and authorization to fill a probation officer 2. Tyrone, I believe you're on.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
We got you.
Okay.
Yeah, would you want to speak to either of these resolutions?
The first one, we had an officer resign. So, and that was back in December. So just looking to fill that position. And the second one is for an officer that's going to be retiring. And just looking to fill that position, but have some plans about that second one, but just needed to get it through.
I'll move JP4 and JP5.
Second.
Any questions for Tyrone? Thank you, Tyrone. All in favor?
Aye.
JP6, we'll move to authorizing the sheriff to fill 2 vacant deputy sheriff positions in the county sheriff's office. Sheriff, you're on there?
Good evening. Yeah, these are all budgeted positions, mostly resolutions that I had approved for last year, but they expired with the exception of one patrol position, which I added for someone that had resigned and went back to the jail, that had transferred from the jail to the road. I went back to the jail, so we have now 2 vacancies, but these are all budgeted positions.
I'll move it.
I'll second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Was that both of them?
Well, I said just JP6. We got,
Okay.
we can bundle JP7 and JP8. Any wish to speak on those, Sheriff?
Same thing, budgeted positions that I had approved resolutions for last year that expired at the end of the year.
I'll move it.
I'll second. Sheriff, do you have trouble with the senior typist position? Is that why it expired? I mean, that's a hard position to fill.
We haven't been able to fill that yet. We've been working with HR, but we haven't had a qualified candidate to fill that position. That was the position that was created as part of a corrective action plan in the jail, but we haven't been able to fill that as of yet. We're hoping to develop a good candidate with HR.
Is it the title, senior typist? Is that kind of an old title or? Yeah.
Hard to say.
Uh-huh.
It's one of those lists because it is a common title in various departments that is constantly changing.
Yes.
So and by, people take the test and then by the time they have an opening and interviewing, not everyone's always available any longer.
Mhm.
But we do have more people taking the test, so we should have some more candidates for the sheriff to consider.
Good. Mark?
So this test, or this position, you have to have a test?
Correct.
And is there a list currently that we can hire off from or no? Or is there a test being offered?
So the test will be offered on March 1st. So as people are signing up for it now, so we do have several people that have signed up, so we're planning on scheduling them for March 1st. I believe the current list is not a mandatory list. I believe there's only 2 names on it, so.
That list is expired,
Right,
Could use it, but you don't have to?
correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sheriff, I had one more question. I was looking at your report for this month and your jail census at 109, that's lower than it's been in a while, isn't it?
It's been running very low. We've seen a significant decrease in the number of incarcerated individuals we've had. It's back up just a little bit, but we've had a pretty steady count that's been quite a bit lower than it's been in years past, which is a good thing.
Yep. And that's what you're going to monitor through the year, kind of, and yep. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we get a motion in a second?
Not
Yep,
yet.
moved them.
I got a motion in a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Here, keep that.
I know.
My job.
thank God. Okay, the only, go ahead.
No, I thought we were gonna adjourn.
All right, the only thing I wanted to say is, and to get the committee's input on, is obviously we're going to be continuing to monitor the budget as it goes this year, as we did last year, and how it's performing, so we can have some information. I was thinking about asking some of the larger departments, and this was an idea that came from Andy Dennison, some of the larger departments to actually come and present during the year on their budget, where these departments have their own fiscal staff. I'm going to be working with Lynn, maybe working with Grace to identify the departments that might have the biggest impact on how the budget goes, and ask them on a quarterly or whatever basis to come in and just do their own budget update as to how things are going. I think it would be something that we could look at. We could ask for certain accounts and certain information. And I think of DSS out of the gate in terms of some of the mandated areas they have, foster care and safety net and all of that. But is that something that the Ways and Means Committee would think would be worthwhile?
I agree. I would support that.
Oh, okay, great. Mark?
I was actually gonna bring this up. Yeah, you do it
But I'm told that there is some sort of software that we could purchase, that we could basically get a, monthly report on where, departments stand and their budget, in other words,
Like the Tyler report, is that what he's referring to? No, I'm sorry, Mark, go ahead. Wait a minute, go ahead, Mark.
No, I was gonna ask Bob, what was the?
Could be a variance report, wouldn't it?
Is this one that you got when we were at, Turning Stone?
No, I picked up some bits and pieces and I think it's
There's
in
a clear
Munis.
There's different.
There is ClearGov. I mean, like in Munis, I think the city of Auburn gets
That's what you said before, Aileen,
frequent
right?
reports.
Yeah, I do believe there was additional money into your budget this year.
Well, the additional money in our budget is being used for that was used to add the fixed assets module, which we don't do right now because the fixed assets software that we have is just not, it's very outdated. It's not good tracking. And this would be a way to help to centralize and to get departments to be able to put things into Munis. We have a better tracking system. I know just before the office closed, we were supposed to have some big meetings with Tyler Technology. And one of the things to talk about was things that we're not using within Tyler. And one would be certainly the reporting, but it didn't happen. So, I think at some point we do want to revisit that.
Yeah, they have to be on site really,
Yeah.
and work internally with the departments and
For a number of
Tyler
days.
does a full evaluation and they give us like a gap report.
Yeah.
In your minds, that's not possible now with the way things are, or we'd have to get into a location, or, what are you saying, Amanda?
We would want to talk to Tom about it again because
Okay.
he was kind of the direct communication with Tyler on the report. They had done this similar thing before and it was a huge scope of things that we were looking at. So I don't know if they could do it now with where people are placed or what, because I don't know all the departments that were entailed with that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it has anything to do with the locations. I just think, it's just a matter of, I guess, getting back to that where we're revisiting, setting up, it was like a 1 or 2 week time frame where we had to have multiple days where they were coming on site and working. I mean, right now, we're kind of at the cargo. It's just, I think we just need to get to that point where we can revisit that. And we certainly can have that discussion with Tom.
And to Mark's point, they would work with you to design a budget report that is readable and not 80 pages of line account numbers?
I think they started, there's this thing called cubes and there's different things that I'm not as familiar with that I think Tyler does have to offer.
And like crystal reporting.
Crystal reporting we've always used, and I don't think that is as user-friendly, I guess, but I do know just before Mary Beth had left, I think her and Crystal started looking at some cubes reporting, but there's a lot of training that goes into that, and, I think Tyler would have to come in and do some in-house training or whatever, so. And I don't know if, I would assume there's an additional cost to that, that's not a module we have.
And I did add that was added to your budget.
Oh, okay.
And it was added for the purposes of training, and then if you need to purchase anything in
Okay.
addition. But this body does need
Yes.
regular reporting.
Sure.
And it's irresponsible to get this last minute. This budget that we put together for this year was very last minute. And we can't do that. Like, that's just irresponsible.
It's
So
not,
we have to have updated reporting, whatever training it takes, I think we should invest in. Because we need to have more, careful view of what's going on.
And did you say, Aileen, that you had seen some kind of reporting that the city of Auburn uses that
Yeah.
seemed like a more condensed?
We do like a quarterly report of budget performance.
Right.
The counselors get that.
But I also think you do have to remember too, the hard part about that is with the county, it's different from working at a private where you are recording certain things at the same time. So you have to always bear in mind. So DSS is a perfect example. You're gonna get a report and it's gonna show you all of your expenses, right? you're not gonna have all your revenue. It's gonna be very skewed.
Mhm.
So, you'll be able to look at it, but you have to look at it and know that.
Yeah, but you should be able to look at it, and if
Yes.
there's something that's out of line, ask the department head, why is this out of line? And they should be able to explain it off and not just, well, I don't know, it's not the timing of it.
No, absolutely, but I just want to clarify that you really can't look at the overall bottom line of a budget. It wouldn't work that way. You would have to look at individual accounts specifically.
But if we ask the Department of Social Services in the interim of all this to report out on their own budget, they may have the ability to give us an updated information that you,
Yes,
Yes.
yes, so DSS is kind of like I said, a more different, I mean,
yes,
what's in Munis and what you're gonna get from Munis is gonna be very top-sided, because they work off of a state system, which is their detailed reporting, which I can tell you is not good.
Mhm.
So they can pull what you're, like, you can look at a foster care account and you can see in general what it is, but you're not gonna, they're not gonna get any detail from Munis or DSS. Other departments a little more detailed, but DSS, it's just a journal entry that posted to Munis every
but
month.
the department itself could report out on their own department, and that's what we're at, that's what I think we ought to start with at
They
least.
should be able to do that.
Yes.
If they can't do that, then
No,
they
right,
don't know what's going on in their department.
right, and I think
Correct.
those big departments have their own fiscal staff, and they would be well equipped to come and give us an update, and, you might not want to look at real property, I mean, what are you going to,
Right.
are you spending your salary money or, right, but I mean, it's the big departments that have the biggest impact on the county that we should be looking at to see where we might have some issues. Okay,
And please don't, our goal is to get to a point where we do get some budget or some better reporting software for sure. I mean, we are looking at that.
right, you recognize the need to,
Absolutely.
yep,
There was a 5% discount that I identified last year, so.
Because believe me,
Oh.
it's just as difficult for us to review and to track things as
Yeah.
well. Because we don't have,
all right,
so
so,
it's click a button and run a report. So we are looking forward to moving forward to some better reporting.
Mark, did you have something last to say?
I just want to, in simple terms, I just feel that, every department head should be able to come to their, their meeting, their committee meeting, and give the committee chairman a report as simple as we can make it on where they stand in their budget. And I think it's not out of the realm to ask for that on a monthly basis. It's fiscal responsibility of, everybody, every legislator to try to, maintain our, where we're at in our budget. And I know we get stuff, tax reports and stuff like that on our computers, but I think, every department head should be able to walk in at their committee meeting and say, just a quick, report, this is where I'm at in my budget. And as Tom said, obviously there's some things that may not quite jive because monies haven't come in, or whatever the case may be. I just feel like the legislature should have this information.
And my only point was, I thought of starting with the large departments that really have the biggest impact and the most fiscal staff to do it. But to your point, every department should have an idea where their budget is.
Right. And just to clarify, there is current year-to-date budget reports in Munis right now that individual departments can utilize.
But they don't, or they do?
I think some do.
Oh.
And if they need any help, certainly, the finance department, or I'm sure Lynn, we can work with them. There's year-to-date budget reports that they can use. DSS would be a little bit more difficult, again, because a lot of their stuff is within the state system. But they can still pull the report out of Munis and kind of see where they are in their various lines.
But they can do it, but not everybody does it? Is that fair to,
It's probably fair to say, yeah. Yeah, I used to do it in DSS, like for certain lines, like our point fours and things like that. You could certainly, we can certainly I can reach out to departments and see if they need help in looking at their year-to-date, budget reports. But we want to get, I think, a more, sophisticated reporting. So like the cubes, I think, is just more user-friendly, right? So it's just going to be a better looking report where you can really, look at the whole county as a whole, or all the departments as a whole budget. you know, where right now, the year-to-date budget reports aren't as good with doing that. You're gonna get them all, you're gonna get a ton of line items, right? So it's gonna take you hours to go through all the lines. So if each budget, or each department did a year-to-date budget report, you know, I could certainly work with departments that may not know how to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion? I'm gonna say motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Second.
All right.